Brunswick World Team Challenge Series. And welcome to Edmond, Oklahoma. The Brunswick World Team Challenge continues. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dave Armstrong, along with Hall of Famer Earl Anthony. And Earl, certainly our thoughts and our prayers are not with bowling this week, but our thoughts and our prayers are certainly with the people at the Federal Building. The terrible tragedy earlier this week here in Oklahoma City. We stand in the northern shadows of that terrible tragedy, and it's been wonderful, though, to see this city and indeed this nation come together as one in support of the victims of that terrible tragedy.
It has, Dave. You're right, and it's such an unfortunate thing and such a tragedy for all of us. But what's kind of neat here, I think, is that 56 teams came from 10 different states to this tournament right here in Edmond, Oklahoma, and their generous support and donations to help those people has been something that the bowling community itself can be very proud of.
Well, we are down now to our final three here as we get ready for our championship matches. And in round number one, let's start with our third-place team, Columbia 300.
Well, Columbia has had their problems in match play, and if they don't get it going soon, this could be a short afternoon for them.
They will take on Matson's B&B.
And Matson's another team that really qualified well. They dominated the qualifying round, just ran away in the first 6 games of qualifying, but they also have struggled in match play.
Well, the team that did not struggle and made the biggest move, Pro Sports Systems.
Came from 6th place with 3 matches to go, dominated the match play. This is the team to watch, and obviously they are the favorite this afternoon and the team to beat.
So don't go away. Get ready for some bowling action here from Edmond as we get set for match number one. Welcome back to Boulevard Bowl in Edmond, Oklahoma. We're ready for match number one featuring Columbia 300 and Matson's Bowling and Billiards. And this is Mike Shoemaker. You see he wears number 16. This is the Baker format, which means each of the 5 team members bowls 2 frames. And being number 16, Mike bowls the first and 6th frames of each game. And a good start.
Well, as usual, the first 5 frames are the toughest for both teams. It's their first chance to get in front of the television cameras and this big audience, and it's tough to get loose right out of the gate.
John Lucido bowling for Matson's out of Lincoln, Nebraska. The other 2 qualifiers are both from the state of Texas. Pulled that one and got lucky.
And he's doing the left-handed bit there. He's that quick shift of the footwork, and then he points at me like it was my fault. I mean.
And now George Nino. George, 32. He owns a painting company.
That one got off his hand a little early, and it actually rolled out. In other words, it got down there near the pocket area, and it was hooking hard, and just kind of straightened out. We get another look at that ball. Here, watch this. He lays it down right at the foul line. And the ball, in other words, it's early. It's going to roll early. Right here, and it'll hook and then straighten out. If it had kept hooking, it had been high, but it straightened out.
Now Rick Miller.
Still working. And he got it.
Well, it was a delayed reaction, but a double nonetheless for Matson's.
Here's another look at that. Watch the pin action here. Watch the head pin goes all the way to the wall, comes off the wall. That's the head pin coming across the lane. And now he's already turned his back on this. They shouldn't let him have it if you turn your back on it, right? And there's the pin action you're looking for.
Now Joe Vito. And 3 in a row for Columbia 300, which reminds us to tell you that for any team that bowls a perfect 300, the first one to do that would get a $25,000 bonus from Bud Light. Ryan Kretschmer now. As we take a look at the Contour Power Grip starting lineup, brought to you by Contour Power Grips. Lucido Miller, this is Kretschmer up now, then Wilson and O'Keefe. Got that one on the other side. Well, 2 Brooklyns for Matson's, but they're keeping pace.
Well, what it's been all week, I think, Dave, and you were around here with me watching it, was there was a lot of good scores bowled this week, but no one came close to bowling a 300 in match play. But if we were to happen to do that, as you mentioned, that $25,000 would be exciting.
Now he tries to cross over, but no for Sean Swanson.
And there's another shot that there at that point looked like Sean was just a little nervous, and he laid it down early, and the ball just wanted to run on him.
And here is their Contour Power Grip starting lineup. This is Swanson, number 49, you see bowling. Greg Kemp is their anchor. And he easily converts on the 6 pin. Swanson was telling us right before we went on that he stuck on some glue earlier and had to get that wiped off his shoe.
And he's still working on it down there in the settee area. It's stuck on the heel of his shoe, and he's trying to wipe it off. That's the first shot that could have been disaster, and only the 610. He was very high in the middle of the head pin there, and one of the last pins to fall was the 7 pin, the 610 only. He'll go cross lane at this, and he'll be one of the few guys that doesn't switch bowling balls to shoot his spares. He'll use his strike ball, will cross lane, and just throw it hard and straight at the spare.
Ooh.
And the chop.
Boy, oh boy. And the open frame after 3 in a row for Madsen's. Well, that certainly changes the complexion of things. Remember, though, this is a 2-game match. Now, this is Sean Swanson. We misidentified the previous bowler for Columbia 300 as Sean. That was Greg Kemp. This is Mr. Swanson.
And he spent about 20 minutes shining this ball before we went on the air, and there's the result. He said it's just hooking too early. I want to get it farther down the lane, so he put it in that Brunswick polisher back there and put about $10 worth of quarters in there, shined it up so it looks like a marble, and it doesn't hook as much.
Yeah, pretty good result, too.
Very good result.
Strike. So now Brian O'Keefe for Madsen's. Brian just 21. A league average of 220. Good reason he is in the anchor spot. So we have reached the halfway point of game number 1 of match number 1, and Columbia, thanks to the open by Madsen's, has a 13-pin lead. Anchor up, he was the 1988 Collegiate All-America team for Texas A&M. And got that one a little bit high after striking in the first frame.
And he's looking around for his spare ball. This is a tough spare. The 3 and the 6, and here's another look at that shot here, and he's pretty happy with this at this point. I don't think he expected this sharper break on the back end. When you get the ball a little bit wide, they are swinging back this week, which is unusual for our shot here in the World Team Challenge. And there he had a little approach problem, stuck, and almost missed the spare.
Not textbook, but he did convert on the 3-6. So John Lucido.
Well, we're going to take a look at John here. Just look at his style, if we can, briefly. This is a style that's taught by Hall of Famer Dick Ritker. You watch the square shoulders, the good knee bend, and the long follow through. This creates a lot of accuracy and good rotation.
And good results.
Good result.
Strikes in both of his frames for John.
Now here's a look at that style. Watch how he maintains his balance. A very steady head here. The good arm swing just above shoulder high. But watch the knee bend and the balance at the foul line. As he goes through the shot and stays right in that position. That's how you should learn to play this game.
George Nino. He had a strike for Columbia his first time up. And another one.
And another one, and he got it down early again. That must be his style. I didn't notice he was laying it down that early when I was watching the match play, but he did it twice, and it worked both times. Another look at it right here. The ball down on the approach almost, barely over the foul line. He gets this one a little more room. Gets it way out near the second arrow. At the 10 board, way down the lane.
Well, the mixer for Rick Miller.
Well, last time out there, Rick had the 7 pin, and that head pin came all the way across the lane to kick it out. This time, he gets the crossover and trips out the 4-7. So things are going well for Rick.
And for Madsen's now, they were trailing by 13, now leading by 7 with that 3-bagger. Joe Vito, one of the more heralded amateur bowlers in the country. Too much ball speed, and he leaves the 2-pin.
Joe is a little guy in stature and a great bowler, a big heart, so he gets the job done. Here's another look at his style. He's playing right around the second arrow, which is unusual under these circumstances in this lane condition. Most of the bowlers trying to hook the ball a little more, and Joe trying to overpower the lane and create a lot of ball speed, and he's constantly trying to do that, and because of his size, sometimes it's pretty hard for him.
And he goes right after the 2. Ryan Kretschmer now. Kretschmer, a student in Lincoln, 21 years of age. Kretschmer crossed over for a strike his first time up. See what kind of adjustment he makes. Pretty good.
Got the job done. Again, excuse me, look at the trip of the 4-pin. We'll take another look at it. He's playing way inside the 4th arrow, and watch the rotation of the ball. At this point, it kind of sets up just enough to trip the 4. Here's a man with a glue on his heel.
Greg Kemp.
Being pretty cautious because of that, I think. That's the problem.
Ooh.
The washout, the 1, the 2, and the 10. And here he's going to switch bowling balls. The idea here is to get the ball to the left side of the head pin.
Look at him. He's still working on that glue on his shoe.
Well, he's pretty upset, and I don't blame him. He was bowling very well in practice before we went on the air, and then just made that error of going behind the settee area without taking his bowling or sliding shoe off, and stepped in something he shouldn't have, and now he's paying the price.
It's almost as much mental as it is physical, too.
It definitely becomes that, and this again is a 2-game match, and there's a lot of time left for both teams to get something big going, and this team has already got it going.
Ooh, until then. Wow, the 4-6-7.
4-6-7, and this is the kind of split that all you really want to do is get the 2 on the left. Another look at it, trying to really basically throw hard and keep the ball in play, but there's a lot of back end on these lanes. In other words, the last 10, 15 feet of the lane really is dry. The ball's gripping the lane hard, and when that happens, it's hard to overpower. You almost have to give the ball more room rather than try to throw through that area. He's going to try to just bounce it out of the pit here.
Well, he did what he could with what he had. The second open frame, though. Look at that, Madsen's B&B scorecard. And you see the 4th and 9th frames, the only opens. Everything else a strike. Not to make Randy Wilson feel any worse, but his team's still leading by 16. Sean Swanson now.
Lots of room.
Ooh.
Really rolled that ball well. It's right where he wanted it to be. Just one of those bad breaks where he leaves a solid 10-pin. .205 possible with a spare here, and then the ensuing strike for Sean. Be careful.
Okay.
Oh my!
Yeah.
That'll get your heart pumping a little faster. Here's another look at that shot. The ball, he's trying to make it skid. You can see there's very little rotation on the ball, but it does grip in the last 3 or 4 feet. Remember, that part of the lane is dry. Creates a lot of friction and makes the ball want to turn over. Have to be careful.
Many of you will remember Sean from that defending grand champion Ebonite Nitro R team. And a good finish for Sean Swanson. A 2:05 finish for Columbia in game number 1.
Brian O'Keefe is one of those players that takes the first part of the lane out of play. He likes to get the ball out in the lane 8 or 10 feet, kind of like Mark Roth when he was in his prime. Mark would just throw the ball over the first 7 or 8 feet of the lane, and usually that's the trouble area, and if you can get it past that, you're in good shape. Well, this young man tries to do basically that same thing. Watch how far out in the lane he gets the ball.
And he, too, leaves the 10-pin. Well, speaking of Mark Roth, he won just a couple of weeks ago. How did that make you feel?
Well, it made me feel very happy that I'm not bowling, because at least I didn't have to bowl against Mark. He beat me enough as it was. I don't need to see him out there beat me again. I'm glad for Mark. I'm real happy for Mark because he's a good friend. We're going to take another look at Mr. O'Keefe's shot. Watch how he gets the ball well out in the lane. That's at least 7, 8 feet before it hits the lane. And that's not by accident, folks. That's intentional. That's his style of play.
Throwing the Brunswick Rhino after it. And he nails the 10-pin. So a 221 possible now, which would give them a 16-pin advantage heading to game 2. If you're going to get something like that, I guess that's the time to do it. But the pin count a little bit costly, and a 217 finish. So the lead is just 12. It's still anybody's match here between Madsen's and Columbia. As we take a look at some of the other finishers, making a strong move to get into 4th was Delmar Lanes, and finishing in 10th we have Delmar Lanes, of course. Then we'll go down to 9th.